Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the GSL. This is the Code A Finals today, and I am so supremely excited about it.
There's no Terrans in this finals, man.
And yeah, no Terrans today. We're actually going to have a PVZ finals. I am so stoked. Both of these two players, Oz and Curious, have been on a tear.
They've been ripping through nerds, man.
I'm excited.
I'm really excited, too. Obviously, Oz is my teammate. I didn't expect him to make it this far. In fact, we talk about this a lot. We talked on so many casts. I actually expected him to lose in almost every round, and he's made it all the way here.
Yeah.
And he might just be able to take the whole thing and jump up there to Code S with his teammate ASD. Up there with Lenok. Might be able to do it.
Could be 3 FOUs in the, or 3 FXOs rather, in the Code S tournament next season. Who knows?
And, Curious, you know, he's been around for a long time, and he's going to shine here again today, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely the favorite.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Curious actually hasn't lost a game in Code A. He just hasn't lost. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 3-0. That's been his record.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? The right number of rounds? I was like 32, 16, 8. Yes,
yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, he has just been owning everyone and looking good doing it. Like, there were a couple times in his last match where, like, he kind of looked like he was going to lose it.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, oh, actually, I forgot about the GG button. He just presses it, and, like, all of a sudden he has a bunch of units, and he just wins. Usually that involves a counterattack, that button.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, yeah, he's been just tearing people up, has not lost a game yet, looking really, really strong.
Absolutely. And Oz has actually looked quite strong as well. You saw some interesting Warp Prism play from him. We've seen all sorts of different strategies from Oz. Now, obviously, here are 2 players, Zerg, Curious, Protoss, Oz, Zerg versus Protoss here, Startail versus FX Open at the GSL Code A Finals. This is going to be a best of 7. And our first map is actually going to be Crossfire, a very balanced map for this matchup. There are a lot of different things that both races can abuse on this map. It's very wide open natural, so both players can abuse that, of course. At the same time, Colossi can do quite well in the narrow areas, but at the same time, that means air units like Mutalisk do quite well. So
yeah,
it's really, really easy to harass 3 bases on Crossfire. The Mutas actually are all in the same spot. We're going to look at some interviews with these 2 players, so take a look at them now.
안녕하세요. 스타테일 소속의 저그유저 큐리어스 이원표입니다. 올라올 거라고 생각을 하지 못해서 참 기쁘고 이제 무조건 우승을 해야겠다는 생각이 듭니다. 당연히 오늘 한 고병재 선수가 가장 힘들었던 것 같아요. 오늘 게임 하는데 졌다고 생각되는 게임이 많았는데 어떻게 하다 보니까 운 좋게 이겨서 게임 할 때 되면은 많이 예민해지는 것 같아요. 그래서 좀 표정의 변화도 잘 없고 감정 변화가 심하게 되면은 게임하는데 지장이 있을 것 같아서 좀 많이 절제를 하고 있는 편입니다. 공격적인 스타일 잘하는 선수. 실력은 제가 위라고 생각하고 이번에 그걸 결승해서 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 딱히 그렇게 큰 준비를 안 해도 무난하게 이길 수 있지 않을까. 제가 뭐 한 판쯤은 져준다고 생각하고 4대1로 이기겠습니다. 많이 친한 형인데 다 이기면 좀 그러니까. 저 이기려면 여태까지 연습했던 것보다 훨씬 많이 연습을 하고 오셔야 되거든요. 제가 이렇게 좀 뒤늦게 올라왔는데 기다려주신 팬분들이 있는지 모르겠는데 있다면 감사드리고 앞으로는 이제 계속 잘해서 많이 방송에 비추고 우승도 하는 그런 게이머가 되도록 하겠습니다.
Those were some lofty goals, man. Look at that. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, just as you said.
Yep.
Tore through there, lost no games,
now,
not even one.
Now here is the caveat to that, is that how many Protoss players did he play in that whole route?
I'm looking through it. Looks like about 0.
It's approximately 0. So he has not quite been tested against a high-level Protoss just yet in this tournament. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fares against a player like Oz, who is really on fire right now.
Yeah, Oz is actually really on fire. He's going to be on Crossfire as well, which
He's going to be on Crossfire.
It's a pretty balanced map, but you were looking at the win statistics earlier. It's about 60% favor for Zerg.
It's actually 61% in favor of Zerg versus Protoss, and that's actually with a significant pool of play. That's like 80 games.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at like Belshire Beach. It's actually like 100% win rate for Zergs, but that's because there's been 2 games. So it doesn't quite count, but there's been 80 games on this map. Anyway, we're going to check out the interview with Oz as well.
안녕하세요. FXO 소속의 23살 프로토스 김학수입니다. 제가 32강전에 변현우 선수랑 했는데 그게 제가 첫 데뷔전이기도 하고 어떻게 보면 개인 리그. 그래서 조금 그 경기가 첫 세트를 졌단 말이에요. 그 경기가 제일 힘들었던 것 같아요. 어떻게 생각하면은 되게 좀 아쉽고 약간 그럴 수도 있죠. 사람이니까. 근데 생각해보면은 뭐냐 장민철 선수 같은 경우에는 우승도 여러 번 하고 결국에 그 정도의 이런 커리어는 있어야 그런 평가 같은 게 좀 의미가 있다 생각해서 A에서 잠깐 이렇게 반짝한 거라고 생각해서 별로 신경 안 썼어요. 결국엔 제가 제일 오래 살아남았기 때문에 별로 신경 쓰진 않아요. 잘하는 선수라고 생각해요. 진짜 농담 안 못해도. 그 선수가 굉장히 원래 잘했는데 성적을 너무 늦게 냈다고 생각한단 말이에요. 그랬기 때문에 100% 다 발휘해야 될 것 같아요. 근데 제가 이길 것 같아요. 토스들이 요즘에 저그 상대로 많이 힘들어하잖아요. 그래서 좀 이왕 경기하는 거 좀 프로토스 분들한테 좀 뭐라고 해야 되지? 그런 걸 좀 제시하고 싶다고 해야 되나? 그런 욕심은 있는데 열심히 좀 연구해 봐야 될 것 같아요. 4대 한 2? 좀 잘 되면 4대 1? 한 경기 정도는 아까 이원표 선수 인터뷰하는 거 봤는데 한 경기 정도는 친한 형이기 때문에 져줄 수 있다고 하는데 저도 뭐 친한 동생이니까 한 경기 져주도록 하겠습니다. 좀 너는 잘하잖니 승강전 통해서 오렴. 어떻게 코드 A에서 유일하게 남은 프로토스가 되었는데 그동안 솔직히 인지도가 너무 없었어요. 당연히 제가 못했으니까. 근데 지금은 프로토스 선수가 많이 힘들기 때문에 모든 프로토스 팬분들이 이렇게 다 같이 응원해 주셨으면 좋겠어요. 그럼 더 열심히 해서 팬들이 되게 기대하는 그런 선수, 그러니까 경기를 기대하는 그런 선수가 되고 싶어요.
Well, you heard it from the man himself. Protoss fans everywhere, put your hands together. Watch this guy. Get your notepads out. Alt-tab out of this GOM player. Open up your text file and get ready to write down some build orders because he wants to show Protoss is the right way.
And he has shown a couple very strong Protosses who's boss in this tournament. As you can see, they're beating JYP and Sage. Both of those players were like the hyped players.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's like, oh my god, JYP, he's gonna beat everybody. And oh, Oz took him out. Everyone said Sage was the next Protoss champion. Oz took him out.
Yeah.
Also defeating Superstar, a very strong Zerg player in the round of 16. So he has proven himself against Zerg in this tournament.
Now, Oz said, you know, I'm the last Protoss. I want to show other Protoss players the right way. But, you know, he's gotten 2 wins off of Protosses themselves. And he says, you know, it's a time where Protoss is not doing well, and he actually had to eliminate 2 other Protosses to get to where he is. And he is the final Protoss, taking out the last 2 on his own, actually, just eliminating them. And, you know, he thinks he's going to win. He thinks he's pretty confident against Curious. Saying similar things, maybe 4-1 or 4-2 is how he feels he's going to do here. But he did say very, you know, confidently, I'm going to have to play 100%.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to play my best to beat this guy. And he said very true things about Curious. He said, you know, Curious has actually always been a good player, but hasn't been able to show himself in the GSL until now. And I think that's very true.
Well, I mean, and Curious, I think a lot of people are looking better at Curious right now because he has been showing himself in other places. He did really well in the Team League not that long ago. He's been, you know, winning a lot of games for Startail in the Team League as well. So anyway, Crossfire is going to be the first map, as you can see there. Belshire Beach, Tall Dream Altar, Daybreak, Zelnaga Fortress. I actually missed the last 2 as I was reading them, but it doesn't matter because Game 1 is on Crossfire. We're going to get underway in just a moment here. We're going to find out who's going to take Game 1 and the momentum to get that Code S spot here at the GSL Code A. right, here we go. Game 1 is beginning. Down here in the bottom left corner of Crossfire is our Zerg player. Over 60% win rate against Protoss players. Got his Hydros there. It's not looking at the camera, it's looking at the screen. It's gonna be like, look at that ping down at the bottom left. And here's his Protoss opponent. No one expected him to win, but he has.
A lot of people have looked at this player and said, you know, I don't know, he hasn't shown very many results in the past. He's not the strongest player out there, he qualified, but he has shown some great results in Code A. Well, you have a Gas first, coming out for Curious, going to be doing a speedling expand. Oz, on the other hand, looks to be going for a very quick Nexus. Going for Nexus first, absolutely, he's got more probes queued up. The spawning pool is starting now. And in fact, he is actually doing another one of his greedy Nexus first builds where he's continuing to chrono boost out probes.
This could be a little too greedy considering, I mean, Curious went pool first.
He went Gas first.
Oh, I mean, pool before hatchery, I mean.
Right.
Pool first in that sense. So he's going to be able to have Lings out pretty quick. Oz is going to have to get some defenses up very, very quickly, and if he keeps, you know, making probes, he's delaying the time he's spending making probes, means he's not spending that minerals on his Nexus and then his Forge and then cannons.
And with the positioning of this Forge and the Pylon, he's going to have to place his cannons extremely well.
Yeah, he's going to be able to put down a gateway, of course, as well, but it's going to be tough to wall off correctly. So Zerglings are actually on the way right now. Only 4 at the moment. Curious, of course, doesn't know.
Yeah, he has no idea what Oz is doing.
On.
The Overlord is about to see what's going on, so he's actually now going up to 6 Zerglings here, but I think that's the maximum he's going to make. Gateway goes down. Forge is finishing up. We're going to see a cannon go behind that gate as well. Cannon is starting here. The Zerglings are out there making their way across the map, but Oz has just enough time to finish this wall off if he decides to. In fact, sending the probe, his minerals home. He's going to come back with that probe now. He's going to be able to make a gateway and cancel it if the need arises.
He might just have enough for his core. Nope, he's going to go for the gateway first. Make sure he walls that off properly. Might need another, yes, he puts down another pylon as well to block. The cannon warps in, and wow. You know, I was saying like, oh, I wonder if he's going to be able to wall off in time, but, you know, I'm sure Oz did practice that because that was, I mean, he knew exactly where to place all of his buildings. He had that planned out to the mineral to make sure that he had exactly enough to block those Zerglings when they got there off of a normal pool before hatchery. So very well done by Oz, and he has a really good lead now.
Curious has made a Roach Warren. He's actually taken 1 drone off of Gas. He's making the Roach Warren now. He's going to put a lot of pressure on. This is a very difficult position for Oz to be in. He knows the possibility of this Roach Warren is coming, but he doesn't necessarily know the Roaches are coming. Zergling speed is done. These Zerglings are now going to have really good control over the map, and he's not going to be able to scout very easily, and in fact right now he's making an extra pylon. He's got the Zealot walled off here. He's making a second Zealot. How many cans is he going to make, though? Is he going to skip the cans? It's going to be kind of hard to hold this aggression off because of the positioning of the Forge. He can just poke at it without taking any damage from the cannon. It's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, if he actually doesn't spend his next...
Oh, he's going to maybe see the Roaches.
Oh, he's going to see him. He needs to spend all of his money on cannons right now. Is he going to spot it? No, the Zerglings take it out. He didn't even get to the hatchery to see there were no drones at the second base. He's sending his Zealots out. They're going to see it ahead of time. That means he's not going to have any Zealots back home. He needs to put down 2 cannons right now if he's going to survive this, at least.
And the Zealots being microed really nicely here by Oz, pulling them back, doing the most damage he can with them. Nice micro by Curious as well, pulling back his weakened Zerglings.
And he actually took a lot of Zerglings there, but the Roaches are what's going to matter. He's rallying more Zerglings to the front. Curious really wants to punish Oz for this greedy opening.
Yeah, 1 more cannon being made right now. A Sentry being chrono boosted out, but I don't think it's going to be here in time. A gateway goes down. Oh no, his wall off wasn't ready, and now the Roaches are doing so much damage to this cannon. The probe's helping to block here. They're on stop position, but the cannon does go down. More cannons on the way. A Sentry has enough for 1 force field here. The probes, so many of them are being taken out, and the cannon will finish, but the Roaches
the pylon goes down. Cannon finishes, but the Roaches can still hit it. He's going to be able to target down that cannon. Zerglings still trying to get in there. They're killing probes. More are going to stream in here. There's a gap there. He gets the Zerglings in. Zerglings get a surround on the probes. Everything gets canceled. 1 more cannon goes in, but it is going to go down, and it looks like Oz is going to pay for his greed this game.
Yeah, the probes are coming out here to fight the roaches. Another sentry comes out as well. He tries to block the cannon with the force field. It does not succeed. And now even though these roaches are slowly falling and he blocks the rest of the Zerglings, he's losing so many probes here.
Yeah,
and he has no answer for the rest of the units. GG!
GG. Too many holes in the wall. Too many ways to get in there. Not enough force fields.
Yeah, and losing those 2 Zealots is really significant as well. He needed those Zealots to stop the Zerglings from coming in, or he needed to fix his wall faster.
Exactly.
He did neither, and of course, the Zerglings came in, and that's it, man.
Exactly. He had to pull so many probes to stop those Zerglings from getting in. If there had been 2 Zealots stopping that instead, then a lot more probes would have been mining.
He would have made more cannons.
Put down more cannons.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. So, very smart decision by Curious. Now, some of you guys might be thinking like, oh, Curious is such a cheesy newbie. He went for Roachling all in. No, he actually scouted that Oz had gone for a really greedy build and said, if I do this right now, I can actually punish him for it, and there's nothing you can do to stop me because of how greedy his build was. And
the
so
Overlord even checked
he made that
again.
decision. He probably had a different plan for that game, but made that decision based on what he saw.
We checked again with the Overlord to see how many cannons did you make. Did you make extra cannons? He said no, and then he made the roaches. You made the Roach Warren. Roach Warren costs 150 minerals. You don't have to make the roaches if they make a lot of cannons, and you saw you just didn't make a lot of cannons. You also saw the Zealots in the middle of the map. He killed those, and that was the point where he was like, I'm just going to even follow up with more Speedlings because he's not going to be able to hold this. And he only had 15 drones. That's it. Only 15, but that's all he needed.
And the timing, I mean, in a way, the timing really didn't work out well at all for Oz, too. I mean, I remember he, like, had some Gosu scouts against Superstar, and that's one of the reasons why he stopped the Roachling all-in from Superstar was because he scouted it. This time, the probe came in, and, like, just at the wrong moment where the roaches weren't quite down the ramp yet, and the probe didn't quite get to the natural hatchery because the Zerglings were there, and then the Zealots barely got killed by the Zerglings before they could spot the roaches, so he just didn't know it was coming either, and so that was a little bit unlucky. He tried to scout, but he just couldn't get the scout in, and that, I mean, denying that scout is part of what Curious did to make sure he secured that game.
He hit a lot of his Zerglings, and he's doing really a great job with what he did in that match. Obviously, the wall-off was a bit of a problem. If those Zerglings had not gotten in, more cannons would have probably finished, and he would have been able to possibly hold it, but not having that wall-off out, losing all that mining time, losing all those probes is really hurt Oz in the long run, but that's just how it goes.
Yep.
Our next map is actually going to be Belshire Beach, a map that has long been pretty Zerg favored. Of course, we've gotten some new changes to the map.
Yeah, it has changed a lot recently, so it's not quite as Zerg favored anymore. Not quite as many ways to get into the game, get into the natural expansion. I was thinking ahead of myself because we are going to get into the game right now. Game number 2.